Coming in at number one is Coronation Street, the longest running British soap opera, comes in at number one for the month of October. And frankly, Coronation Street is the number one soap opera of 2021. I have been watching it consistently since early in the year, along with Days of Our Lives. I think these are Coronation Street, Days of Our Lives, my top five, basically. Well, Bold and the Beautiful, not so much. We'll go my top four. The reason that's my top four really is just because as a whole in 2021, they've been the most entertaining or watchable or just engrossing soap operas of 2021. It's Coronation Street at number one, Home and Away, Hollyoaks, Days of Our Lives. They've had the best 2021, and that is why I gave them the top four spots for October. Even if not all of them were the best in October, still I think a lot needs to be said for the stories that led up to October. And since I didn't do this all year until now, this played into it. But Coronation Street has been very character driven all year. It's something a soap opera like EastEnders needs to start doing if they're going to get out of the funk. That soap finds itself in both in quality and in ratings. Meanwhile, Coronation Street has been kicking ass just by telling some character-driven soap operas, and the fact that it still manages to have good, compelling characters is another reason. Now, the main story of the year was Seb and Nina being attacked by the little asshole Corey and his little friends, and they ended up beating Seb to death while also beating Nina. Corey is the one that kicked Seb's head into death. So, and then Corey ends up getting away with the crime, and Kelly ended up taking the fall for Seb's murder so far because Corey's like this good soccer player and his dad's rich and gets him off. And so yeah, Corey's been saying he had nothing to do with the death of Seb and that it was all Kelly. So that story has been the driving force of Coronation Street this year, and it's been a good story. It's been compelling. The writing's been good for it. It's been character driven, and that has just been able to, tell a web of other character driven stories, which is something a lot of soap operas lack in doing these days. Seb's mother, Abby, had went away, and Kevin had been worried about her because they're together. And so Abby's been wanting revenge on Corey because she knows Corey was involved in her son's death, and she wants to seek revenge and kill Corey. And that was kind of been one of the main story threads of the aftermath of this story. And I wish I could say it better, but I'm just trying to say it this story has gone from one part to another, to another, to another. It's this is how you tell a character-driven story and web it all together. I've talked about how a lot of these soaps just move really, really fast, like Bold and Beautiful, and they just miss out on telling good stories because of it. The same can be said for even Short and the Street. As much as I enjoy Short and the Street, they tell their story so fast, I don't know if it's always good. But I just loved that Coronation Street has been able to tell this story and make every aftermath have a meaning and a point to it. And that alone makes the stakes high, and it makes you give a shit about the characters. Because even if we go into the character of Imran, who is he was the lawyer for Callie who he couldn't get off, and then Imran has a one-night stand, a drunken one-night stand after he loses the case, and that connects to Toya, who Imran is with, and they're adopting children. They were trying to take care of Callie and fostering kids, basically, not adopting. But so this story had just played into a lot, and all the characters involved with it have had great character development all year. We had Sabine, who was the lawyer that put Callie away in prison, blackmailing Imran because she found out about his one-night stand to help her try and get off the character of, I forget his fucking name, Harvey, who's like been after Leanna and her family. And so there's just like it's like connecting of stories and just character driven stories. It's refreshing to see this in the soap opera in 2021. And it happens, but usually when it's character driven, if they're trying to do a character driven storyline, it usually moves way too slow and is way too uninteresting. And yes, there's been some months of Corey in 2021 that aren't, it's not exciting. But I think Coronation Street has just, the quality has been strong, the writing has been there, and I appreciate it. And so this whole month led to their stunt week. You know, all the British soap operas have their stunt weeks during the year, and this was during Halloween. And Abby had been carrying a gun around for revenge, and Nina found out about it, but couldn't stop her because Abby wanted to kill Corey. But there's this big storm going on, and it's causing sinkholes around Coronation Street. And so I even like the touch of Corey dressed up as a wolf, and then Abby ends up putting on a Little Red Riding Hood uh, costume, while so it's like Little Red Riding Hood is hunting the wolf, which I love that touch even. So they end up going down in one of the sinkholes together, and Abby has her moment of finally scaring Corey with her gun, and Corey ends up finally admitting to killing Seb and saying he's sorry and wants to live. And Abby ends up not pulling the trigger. But there was more to this stunt week. We had um, Harvey escaping prison because he wants revenge on Toya because he found out that Toya was involved in getting Sabine off of the case because Toya went to the superiors to get to make it be known that she was blackmailing Imran. So once again, more connections within the story. It's great writing. It's great writing, and I have to appreciate it, and I have appreciated it all year. And I had to put Coronation at #1 because it was another solid month for Corey. And Corey's not even my favorite British soap opera of all time. I don't even know if it's like third. So it's a great feat from Corey for me. I like what they've done this year. More of the stunt week. Dev and his family are in a car accident. Now this story I don't know if I like it because it's Dev saves his daughter Asha over his son Ada during the car when the car is going to explode. He ends up saving his daughter first. His son ends up getting out alive, but of course his son is wondering why. But the problem is Hollyoaks told this exact story 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So literally, and it was with their Indian characters on Hollyoaks as well. So it's kind of weird that they're using this for the Indian characters on Corey when it's the exact same story, except it's a father instead of a mother. But whatever. During the stunt, the characters of Johnny and Natasha died. Johnny dies saving Jenny. Natasha dies and leaves her kid, Sam, going through grief. He's like mute now because of the grief. And I don't know. I just love everything that they have connected this year on Hollyoaks, Corey, not Hollyoaks, on Coronation Street. So the stunt worked for me because it tied in everything that's been going on well. Most things have stayed character driven. They killed out the right people. I think it's characters that have maybe really had no direction. Do I think they should have killed off Johnny? No. They could have just had Johnny leave town, so that was stupid. But they killed the right characters. They didn't kill off anybody shocking, really. They didn't need to kill them off, but British soap operas do that too much. But all in all, Coronation Street, the writing has been spectacular. I appreciate it. I love all the connecting they do. So big ups from me on the year. Coronation Street, the best soap opera in 2021 by far, because the writing is solid and they're doing character driven stories done right, in my opinion.